This is Civil Defense information from the Department of Defense, Washington. This short program is to provide you with basic information for your safety if this country is ever attacked with nuclear weapons. If the United States should be attacked, it's almost certain that our networks of warning stations would give advance warning in time for you to reach shelter or at least take cover. The standard attack warning signal is a 3 to 5 minute wavering sound like this. The attack warning signal means that an actual enemy attack has been detected and you should take protective action immediately. Do not use the telephone to find out what's happening. Listen to your radio or television. The telephone lines will be needed for official calls. Help keep them open. The main hazards of a nuclear attack are blast, heat, fire, and fallout radiation. Blast effects will affect only a small percentage of the geography of the U.S. Some protection against blast and heat can be found by taking shelter in the basement or inner hallway of a building. But if you're caught in the open and there's a brilliant flash in the distance, take cover immediately. Get into a ditch or culvert, behind a tree or a wall, anything solid. Curl up in a ball or cover your head with your arms. Count slowly to 200, then go to the nearest shelter. You may be able to avoid fire injuries by putting out small fires or escaping from large ones that might occur in your area. When a nuclear weapon explodes near the ground, great quantities of soil and debris are drawn up to form a radioactive cloud, then spread by the winds before falling to Earth as radioactive fallout. Fallout particles vary from the size of a grain of sand to fine dust. They vary in color. Particles may be black, gray, or brown. They give off invisible gamma rays, like X-rays. People can protect themselves against fallout and have a good chance of surviving by staying inside a fallout shelter. The most dangerous period is the first 24 hours after fallout arrives, but you might have to stay in the shelter as long as 2 weeks. If you receive warning of an enemy attack, get to the nearest fallout shelter promptly. Most public shelters are marked by this black and yellow sign. There are many kinds of fallout shelters. The farther away you are from the fallout particles outside, the less radiation you'll receive. Building materials such as concrete and brick serve to absorb many of the gamma rays and keep them from reaching you. A fallout shelter does not need to be a special type of building or an underground bunker. It can be any space, provided the walls and roof are thick or heavy enough to absorb much of the radiation. A shelter can be the basement or inner corridor of any large building, the basement of a home or a subway or tunnel. If regular shelter isn't available and your home has a below-ground basement, it would be the best place to improvise protection from fallout. Choose the basement corner most below ground and away from windows. Drag in a heavy bench or table to make a roof for your shelter. Then wall yourself in on the 2 open sides with heavy appliances or dressers and chests filled with earth or sand to help absorb radiation. Cover it with anything thick and heavy such as firewood, flagstones, books, or boxes filled with earth. If your home lacks the protection of a basement, choose a first-floor hall or room away from outside walls and windows. Use doors off their hinges, furniture and appliances, stacks of heavy materials, trunks or drawers filled with sand or earth to make an enclosure large enough to live in for a short time. There's one easy, sensible thing you should do to prepare for a possible time of emergency. Set aside a few simple basic supplies. The supplies must be those which are absolutely necessary for survival. Get flashlights and extra batteries, battery-powered radio, and blankets. Prepare a first aid kit and any special medicine needed, such as insulin and heart tablets. Assemble some food items that you do not have to cook or refrigerate, such as evaporated milk. Also water in covered containers or beverages such as canned drinks and juices, and baby food if needed. If in time of emergency you plan to use a home shelter, take time now to set aside some basic supplies. Store enough for all your family for 14 days. Families with babies should keep on hand a 2-week stock of infant supplies. If you take shelter at home, a minimum of 3 or 4 gallons of drinking water would be needed by each member of your family. Local authorities may instruct you to turn off the main water valve so the contaminated water is not drawn in. The pipes inside the house will still be full of water safe to use. Turn on the faucet located at the highest point in your house to let air into the system. Then drain water from the faucet located at the lowest point. You can also use water in your hot water heater, in the flush tanks of toilets, in ice cube trays, and liquids in the form of milk, soft drinks, and canned juices. This is civil defense information from Washington.